Okay, so I'm just now realizing that I've worn this shirt like, I don't know, what, 3 times now in a video. It's not intentional. I just usually grab the first shirt that I have out of my dresser. So, yeah, I would have worn the Resident Evil 2 shirt if I had it, but I guess it's dirty. Anyways, what is going on, everybody? This is Owen here, and today we're finally going to be talking about the CG Resident Evil films. I've talked about the first movie by Paul W.S. Anderson and did not like it whatsoever. I said it was a very bad representation of the games and did not feel like Resident Evil at all. These films, however, I actually do really enjoy. Instead of taking the story of one of the games, cutting it down to the length of a movie and getting actors that somehow look like the characters, they are instead movie-length stories that take place within the universe that star the actual characters. Like, they didn't need to hire actors that look like them. They just hired the same voice actors from the games and then just CGI up the characters. I feel like these are probably the best examples of what video game movies should be, as they do justice to the most important people, which is of course the fans of the franchise. So over the years there's been a total of 4 different films. Resident Evil Degeneration, released in 2008, Resident Evil Damnation, released in 2012, Resident Evil Vendetta, released in 2017, and then Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which actually is not a movie, it's actually a series that was released in 2021. So I'm actually going to do this video a little differently. I'm going to just go through each film in order, give a small little review of each one, and then at the end of the video I'm going to rank them from my least favorite to most favorite. Anyways, enough talking, let's just get right into the video. Alright, so first we have Resident Evil Degeneration. So the opening to this film is really cool. There's this outbreak that occurs inside of an airport, which even has a freaking plane crash into it. We then follow Leon Kennedy and these 2 others as they try to help the survivors that are still stuck inside the airport. Claire is also there, as she was there during the outbreak, and it's really cool how you get to see her and Leon together finally after all these years as they try to help this group of people escape the airport. But once they leave the airport, the film really slows down. The focus of the film shifts towards this new company, Will Pharma, as well as this other character who apparently his backstory is he lost his family in the bombing of Raccoon City, and he's also related to one of the other characters that we were introduced to. That's another thing about this movie. Most of the characters are alright, but then there's just a couple of them that are just really dumb. The best example would probably be this character named Angela. Throughout the entire airport section, she's constantly making all these stupid decisions, like trying to save this person who clearly is dead, as well as trying to save her partner before and after he died and turned into a zombie. Overall though, if you're a fan of the games, I feel like this is a decent movie. Alright, so moving on, we now have Resident Evil Damnation. So this movie takes place in a different country where there's this civil war going on and there's all these monsters running around. Leon is back and Ada's there as well, so we get to spend some time with her, but that's like pretty much all I really remember of this movie. Where the other one had a great start but then slowed down towards the end, this film is just slow the entire time. Despite the animation quality being a lot more better and the inclusion of more monsters from the games, there's nothing that really happens in this movie that really keeps me interested, as it really drags on. However, if you are a fan of the games, you'd probably still enjoy this movie. It's just one of the more unlikable films in my opinion. Alright, so now moving on, we now have Resident Evil Vendetta. So when I went into this, I had very low expectations for this movie. I heard my fair share of stories of this movie and thought, wow, okay, this is gonna be dumb, but let's check it out anyways. But after watching it, I was like, this was really good. Right off the bat, the pacing is a major upgrade, as it doesn't feel like it's dragging on the whole time like the other films. I also thought the story was very interesting, although it's a little confusing. Basically, a man infected people with this virus through a brand of water, that can only be activated with a gas. I think what makes this movie so good would probably be the characters. Leon is still here, but Chris Redfield and Rebecca Chambers are also here, which I feel like they really help out the film. I think the only thing I really disliked about this movie would probably be the ending part, which involved them releasing the vaccine to the city through a helicopter, like they were just dropping it off, kind of like a helicopter putting out a fire in a way. I thought it was really dumb and cartoony and was kind of the reason why I had low expectations for this movie. But I'm really glad I actually watched this because I would have never known how great this film actually is. Overall, there's a couple crazy moments here and there, but I feel like this was probably the one I had the most fun watching. Anyways, now we're moving on to the final film, not really, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. So this is probably going to be a little biased because I haven't actually seen this in a while. I tried looking up recap videos to try and help out with my review so I could talk about the overall story, but it's just very confusing, so it's going to be a little hard to talk about the overall story in this video. But there are some things I would like to talk about still, so yeah. Alright, so one of the biggest things about this series that I think most people talk about is the fact that it's a series and not a movie, because it's only 4 parts and each part is like 27 minutes long or something like that. I have no idea. I'll probably put up the correct number on screen or something, but they're definitely less than half an hour, and if you add all those up, that's gonna be like less than 2 hours. So why they didn't release it as just a full-length movie like these ones, I have no idea. Maybe they had plans to add more episodes but just didn't know what to do, or maybe they're gonna do a second season in the future, who knows. One of the other questionable things about this would probably be the choice of casting. So much like the other films where a lot of the characters were voiced by returning voice actors that had portrayed the characters in the video games, this one does the same thing where they had the actors from the Resident Evil 2 remake come back to reprise their roles. What's weird though is that this takes place after the events of Resident Evil 4, and if you compare Leon's voice from those 2 games, it's quite different. So my problem with this is not for the fact that the Leon's voice sounds different. If anything, I'm actually kind of glad that they had the voice actor that played him in the RE2 remake come back. I actually loved his performance in that game. My problem really comes from the fact that one of the other characters in this show sounds a lot like Leon from Resident Evil 4. So there are times when he talks and I'm just like very confused, like, wait, is that Leon talking? No, that's the other character. Oh, okay. As for the overall story, it's again very confusing. From what I've heard, basically there's this government official that wants to go to war with China, so he's working with this company called Tricell to try and make that happen. Tricell is the same company that was involved in Resident Evil 5. The story is honestly very boring and unmemorable. I'm sure if I were to rewatch it, I'd understand it a little more, but honestly, I didn't feel like rewatching it. Alright, so now I'm going to rank these films from least favorite to most favorite. In last place, I'm going to put Infinite Darkness. It's too short to be a series, and it's very boring. In third place, it's going to be Damnation. I honestly would have probably put this in last place because of how slow it feels, but honestly, there were a couple moments that I did really enjoy. In second place is going to be Degeneration. It had a great start, but slowed down towards the end, but it's still a great start to this franchise. And in first place, as I'm sure you've guessed by now, is going to be Vendetta. I had the most fun watching this film, and I really hope that any future Resident Evil CG films that come out after this will try to be like that film. Like, keep that up. Okay, we're finally done. I'm done with these films. I no longer have to talk about Resident Evil anymore. Oh wait, I forgot. Okay, so yeah, next week we'll be covering this film, and that'll kind of conclude this trilogy of Resident Evil reviews, I guess. Well, for films at least, hey. Haven't tackled the games yet. Maybe I'll do a video in the future where I'll rank all the games. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you've seen any of these Resident Evil CG films, let me know down in the comments what you thought about them, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I will see you all later.